Hello and welcome to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Adingor.
Sudan وهذا ملوني أنا جند الشعب لتحرير السودان يا شباب الدنيا ويا سوار افريقيا اسمع صوتي أنا من مدينة كرمك أهل إنجلتنا واسمع صوتي كمان من مدينة كويتا.
Hello and welcome to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Adingor. This week on Fixing South Sudan, the nation celebrates the 37th anniversary of the founding of the Sudan People's Liberation Movement Army. Joining us to speak about this commemorative event is the incoming Chief of Defense Forces of the South Sudan Defense Forces, General J.J. Okot, in Bilfarm Army General Headquarters. It's my pleasure to welcome him back to this program. Welcome.
Thank you, Madingo.
So congratulations for your promotion by the Commander-in-Chief, General Salva Kiir Mayardit. It's been a long time coming. You grew through the ranks and file of the SPLM. How do you react to the news?
Yeah, I first want to thank the President of the Republic and the Commander-in-Chief of South Sudan People Defense Forces, the entire leadership of the Army, the entire leadership of the political authorities in the ministry, my colleagues with me in the defense, in the command of the Army, our forces at all their levels of dispositions, where they are deployed, our friends and sympathizers. Of course, it's a great day, and I want to thank the political decision, the heroic decision taken by our icon, our leader, the father of the nation, the father of the liberation, to have, in particular, this critical time of peace in the country and brought me to this challenging assignment. So the excitement is, to me, is the challenges that we are going to undertake from our colleagues, from our former colleagues who had been in this position. My just recent Chief of Defense Forces, General Jokriak, who had been here, and we had just exchanged this assignment. So the excitement, I think, is to everybody, excitement into our population, the people on the street, because they expect us to do more.
And the excitement is immense, and it reminds you of your journey, your long journey, your trek to Bilfarm. And maybe tell us about that. You never conceived that one day, this day will never come, but you fought nevertheless.
You need political growth in the liberation. When I joined the liberation, I was a youth. but we knew liberation is costly. It was not in the mindset of some of us that you will come to this rank and this position at this particular time. The priority that we had in our mindset was to contribute war against the regime and bring the regime down. After bringing the regime down, we'd set a government and institutions of our choices. That was the whole thing. But of course now we have to undergo what was now known as military. Because when we got out from Juba in 1984, July, we didn't know what's military. We normally see the army, the Sudan army, on the streets making jogging, dancing. We didn't know what is the army. So when I joined the movement in 84, right from Jongole, because we traveled through Bor and we went to Kongor. And then we, the Equatorians that joined that time, were a good number, not less than 1,000, mostly the working class. So I started to learn leadership. I was made a sergeant. You can imagine, I made a sergeant. But before I was made a sergeant, I was drilled. I was told what would be your problem, what would be your command. I took it quickly because during my school days, secondary school days, I was head of a scouting. When you do scouting, it's almost like a soldier. So it fell into my hobby. And then when we went to Ethiopia, we went to Itang, we underwent some exercise, and then we were screened. We went to Bonga. I was able to get to the cadet, and the cadet we were graduated. So I more or less grew from a life of a soldier. When I said a sergeant, you can begin from a private, a corporal, and a sergeant. And I went to the cadet. I became an officer, an infantry officer. And in that process, I was able to now identify my life with the military, not the civil. So it's something amazing. And then from a lieutenant, I was able to progress my career through war, through very high discipline, under various leadership of commands, and this made me to come to where I am. So I feel I'm a total soldier because I had not started from the middle. I started from the beginning, from the onset. So the challenges that affects a soldier today in Fangak, affects a soldier in Bentiu, in Awil, in Nimule, are not new to me. If they are happy, I know they are happy. If they are not happy, we in the command will know they are not happy. This is a life which is different from the political life. People in the political life may not know what we are as the army are aware. There is no problem that is affecting our army that we are not aware. I, with my colleagues here, we are aware. And this makes one happy that when we come to a time of celebrating the victory of the liberation, we do it with the happiness of our soldiers, the happiness of our non-commissioned officers. We do it with the happiness of our wounded heroes. Not only the wounded heroes, our colleagues who gave their lives for this freedom. There are many. As I talk to you now, even this evening, or last evening, and this morning, we are still getting our colleagues who have been called upon by God. And most of them are fighters. Most of them are freedom fighters. But of course, we need to celebrate this because it has brought us here, and we are now free on our own.
And on this day, you remember your colleagues, and also is a chance to travel back memory lane to those dark days. As you said, you did not go because of a position. You went to liberate a country. And what were your reasons for joining the struggle?
You know, it was simple. When we were youth, the Anyanya 140 liberation, we were able to be told by our parents what was the reason of the war. The reason of the war was that we are not free. They tried, they did not finish. So when we grew up, we became youths ourselves. and became responsible to now look for opportunities of schools, living, we happened to revive what our parents told us, that they did not finish the war. And the war must be finished so that we are alone. That was the simple decision, a political decision, that the mission has not been finished. So we, the generation that came around, must go and finish it. And indeed, the liberation struggle by Anyanya 1, and then the rest that followed, the Anyanya 2, and the rest, they all contributed for the freedom that we wanted. But it was not complete. It was only complete by 83, when again another war broke up in Bor, led by our fallen hero Icon, the late Dr. John, together with our current Icon of Peace, General Salva Kiir Mayardit, and then the rest of us went in, students went in, patients went in. By 2005, this was the victory. In fact, the victory did not just come out of nothing. It came as a resistance of the army that we joined. So it is a very important victory in the life of South Sudanese, that today we are free, we have our own passport, we have our own country, we have own currencies. I think this is the job that is well done, is complete now. So now we need to move from where we are to the reform of the development.
And actually, that's a good topic and a good segue into what I want to speak about. You have come at a very optimistic time and also challenging time. There is a peace agreement, and that is a double-edged sword. And now people are looking for an opportunity to be able to create a unified army and end the war once and for all, bring total peace to the country. This is immense on your agenda.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges I was telling you. Many people outside there don't understand that when we fought the liberation, we had our own diversities. But when we came here in 2005, the mission of the army was to reform. When we talk about the reform, you look into the institution we inherited. We inherited an institution from the Sudan. The Sudan army were the one that managed and commanded the country. So we had to reform the institution to our like. And that's why we have our constitution, we have our SPLM Act, White Paper on Defense, that had been crafted to now suit the new environment of the Army of Liberation. And that's the army I joined. Now, to do this, we needed peace. We needed political stability. But from the onset of 2005, some of you were very young, others were not born. This army and this government have never been stable. This soldier who brought this peace has never been stable. The army headquarters, the army command had a very big ambition to transform this army, from the reform of the institution and then to the transformation of the army. Not even the professionalization people are doing. This is a very political pronouncement that we want the army to be professional. You need to begin the step of reforming the institution, then now you transform the army in the interest of your institution, so that then from there you can progress. This has not been there because we had been in our political turmoil, insecurity turmoil, that took us all this time. There's no one time that this army was free to send its army to the training center. There was no time this army had a transformation to recruit. You know, recruitment is a long thing. You advertise, recruit, and then select, and then train on certain principle and criteria. This one is almost like a freedom army, freedom fighters. There was no need for rigorous screening because
it was an army of volunteers.
War was at the door front. So anybody who was able to come and say, I'm ready, regardless you come from where, people fought the war. And these white politicians don't understand why there are certain ethnicities that are big in the army. Why are they big? Because it's like when you call for a dance. The nearest people would come and contribute the biggest population. But at the end, people who will come late will enjoy dancing. So the reform could not be totally done is because of war. Now with peace, let me come to with the peace agreement that has been signed between our political parties and the government, the revitalized peace agreement, if the TGONO continues to stabilize and form the level of the institution, the army are now under training. We had broker peace. We are now with our colleagues who had gone astray. They have signed agreement. And as we sit here, we are almost semi-integrated. Our Minister of Defense, the minister is from the major political party, is now heading the defense. So the integration, the harmonization has started. And this is the time now we want a total peace to come. When we get this trained army, we deploy them, we indoctrinate them, we can now talk about reform. This is where we can now get to reform this army. This army needs reform, but also need peace. Because with peace, you will have the resources. With the peace, you can now create criteria of selection, criteria of recruitment, and the training. And you look into the various sector of security. Come in military intelligence, the training, the armor, and all this. They will need stability so that we can now talk about the reform.
There are many aspects to transformations or reforms, but what has been the wonderment of the whole nation and for every soldier is the fact that the army is not earning. The foot soldier is neglected and they are left to fend for themselves. This has been a challenge you have been confronting collectively as the leadership of the army, but it's something that keeps on coming up. How can we improve the lives of the men and women in uniform?
I think I've answered. When we talk about the reform, you want to reform the institution. If the institution is reformed, the transformation of the army will now identify the caliber of officers who will be now running the army. You will get the officers who now will be running the system of the army where there's accountability. And this reform will take us where you're asking. Some of these things that are happening, recurring, they are recurring because we have not totally got a reform package where I'm responsible today, I must be accountable to my assignment. Most of our colleagues are also still voluntarily discharging their duties. Some may be even conducting this issue you call mismanagement through negligence.
Or maybe intentional.
Some are not very knowledgeable that this would cause his command. Some are forced to do it out of despair. But to some of us who are aware about the importance of this soldier, when I'm given what the soldier must take, the soldier must take. Because without this army, some of us would have not been here. We are sitting here, we know how much the army has contributed. We continue to regret and to say, yeah, all of us, we deserve to be blamed because we might have not managed this army the way it is expected, but simply because there had been no total reform. Let us be reformed and let us transform this army where there is now issue to do with accountability. When there is issue to do with accountability, the food that goes to the army will go to the army. The salaries that come to the army will go to the army. The issue of the ghost name will go. And that's the time now we can begin to account to ourselves.
Are you saying in your administration it's not going to be business as usual, that you will bring good news to the foot soldier?
No, I don't want to rush to that because we are going to encourage a teamwork, collective teamwork. And this has been the methodology of our former colleagues. They had the same idea. We work as a team. But sometimes they run short of working as a team because there's no stability in the country where you have to contribute your ideas together and run the army as an institution together. So to say we are going to create a change, if we are to create a change, we would create a change as the country stabilizes politically. And definitely our mission is to create a change. Our mission is to reform this army. Our mission is to make this army happy because it is this army that brought this freedom. So it is our mission. But I don't want to say I will do it today, do it tomorrow. We will do it together with them. Where we will not be able to finish it, we will finish like the Nyanga 1 began the war, Nyanga 2 came in, now the South Sudan Defense Forces came in. You can see now we are progressing. We will progress through our administrative setup to where we can now provide the services that this soldier will deserve so that the soldier can discharge his or her duties to the interests of the society, interests of the country.
This is Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Adingor, and with us in the program, General J.J. Okot, the incoming CDF of the SSPDF. And we are speaking about the 37th anniversary of the founding of the SPLM, SPLA, and speaking about the men and women who made this country possible. You have memories. Some are bitter, sorrowful. What can you say about why the nation should continue to celebrate and remember those who paid ultimate sacrifice for the liberation of South Sudan?
I think it is our culture. It's our culture as liberators that we cannot celebrate this day without remembering our best colleagues during those difficult times, and our best colleagues during our good times. The names are long. That's why, in summary, we would want to say the first person that deserves a reward of what brought us here today is those who have already given their lives for this freedom. These are the first people. Whether they are women, they are men, they deserve that. The second group are the wounded heroes who are now moving in with all their, with their crafts. They are moving in, some with one leg, some with one arm, but still they feel proud because this is the country they brought. The contributions, the liberation has not been a cheap one. It has been very costly, and it will still be costly until we are able to get well reformed, and then we will be able to now say yes, we'll be able to enjoy our total freedom. Our soldiers will be free, our officers will be free, our citizens will be free. That is the aim, that's the objective, and that's the mission we want to achieve. So remembering those who felt during our course of liberation, Madingor, is a long list. Some of us, if I should just begin to call by names, maybe from 87, my colleagues, that, in 87, I was the first person who shot the bullet in Capoeira. Now I have 2 scars on my body. The B battalion. I had a lot of good friends that gave their lives. I was lucky I survived.
What is the best way of honoring these sacrifices?
To make sure that we complete the reform, and the families of those who gave their lives for this freedom feel free in this country. The children of the fallen heroes feel free in this country, because now I don't think we are giving them all the services. The best services that can be given to all these people is the total freedom of this country, so that someone can go and make his own life Whether you go and do it in the fishing, you go and do it in the farm, you go and do it in the army, do it in the police. That is the services. That is that is the reward that we want to see. A woman that her husband has given his life for this freedom, this woman must be free to invest into the children that might have been left behind. This is the ultimate contribution that we need to do. That this country must finally get to one army after the integration of the army are done, or you can call it reunifications are done. We have one army, and then we will have one police. We will have one commander-in-chief of the army, and now the security sector will be well established to discharge their work. The police will do their work, national security, the CID will do their work. This is the best reward, because there's no way the government will be giving money to each and every household, but it is only the freedom of this country. Total security opportunities in this country, when they are free, everybody will be very happy. Some of us are happy in the SSPDF General Headquarters. We have the wounded heroes. They have been in the list. If we get salary, they get salary. If we don't get salary, they don't get salary. We are on equal terms with them. We have those who have fallen. You call them divided into the Ashara or Layat. If we get salaries go to them.
And even the salary is inadequate.
The salary is inadequate is the issue of the political stability of this country. Let me tell you, I was one of the colleagues who went outside to assess what would be the salary of this soldier. We went to Uganda, we went to Kenya, went to, by that time, to Rwanda, we went to South Africa, where we crafted the white paper on defense with the then General Oyai, James Roth. Some of us contributed into what would be the salary of this SPLA soldier.
The master plan is there.
When we came here, the salary of a soldier was $300. It was the highly paid salary of a soldier in the region. The intention was to reward them, because we have just come from liberation. 2005, 2006, SPLA soldier, foot soldier, $300. You could not go to Uganda, you get an officer receiving that money. Kenya, the same.
You may revert
And
to
by
that.
that time, the procurement, the logistics, management were perfect, because the economy was high, there was no insecurity. We were able to provide services to our soldiers, to our families, and to ourselves. The salaries now is, even if you give $300 to our soldiers now, do you know how much $300 today is in town here? It's almost like 90,000. It's almost like 90,000. But that is nothing. So the issue is not the money. The issue is the stability. With the stability, the economy will revive, activities will begin, investors will come in, and then the salaries of our army will have value.
I want to get to a last thought about the tainted image of the army, domestically and internationally. The SSPDF, SPLA, before that, was known as an army of rapists, an army that maims, an army that kills civilians. So there is a lot to do in terms of polishing the image of the army. Is that your commitment, that you would like to restore the civil-military relations?
No, this is within our rules and regulations. People are being punished. The terrain case is an ideal example. Why are they punished? Because they were caught red-handed and they were taken to books. The issue is not only we condoning this indiscipline acts of our army. The Ghanaian army in Wau raped and slept with our ladies. Ghana is a very professional country compared to Sudan or South Sudan that we had been from 2005 to this time. We had this series of issues we are saying here. This army brought soldiers from the market and screened soldiers because the priority was war. So, and the process of accountability we used to conduct during a war of liberation. discipline our liberation. But here, when we came here, you want to fire squad a soldier because he has committed a rape, which is a capital offense during our time of liberation. The whole world will talk about it. People who are enemy to our peace will talk about it. Civil society will talk about it. But that was proper to discipline our army. And that one made us come here. So these tainted names came as a result of unstable security situation in a country. Anything can happen. We have not refused that.
Going forward, you will embrace accountability.
We will make sure we seriously look at the reform of this army. Because when we reform the institution, we will reform this army. And when we reform this army, we will bring the army that will govern this country.
And fix South Sudan.
And those who are not going to be able to fit into the new army that we are going to reform, we have already a blueprint, you understand. We have a blueprint. When the late General Ajonga, God called him upon himself, we already developed a blueprint. As we sit now, that blueprint is there. One of it is the biometrics that has gone.
The blueprint will fix the army, and the army will fix South Sudan.
We are going to make sure this army are reformed and they are empowered, they are disciplined so that they can provide services and the protection to the integrity of this country. Whether it is external or internal, it will be our first mission that we are going to do. So we are not saying bad things have not happened. We are saying those bad things happen. Now we are going to have a new look into how we are going to make sure this army is reformed to discharge its duty or our duty. So we have a work plan, and this work plan will take us where our people want us to go.
General J.J. Okot, thanks for coming to Fixing South Sudan.
Thank you, Madingo.